morning, bookworms. It's Jade from Bedtime Bookworm, and welcome back to my channel. This is the beginning of my week 8 currently reading vlog. I'm really going to try and keep these clips short because week 7's vlog, which I'm still in the process of editing, somehow I ended up with like 25 minutes of footage. Like, what? How did I talk about books that much? I don't think it's all about books, which is part of the problem. I need to try and stay like on topic here. I'm gonna try to keep this short, but apparently it's really hard for me not to just blab on and on about books. Since the last time I checked in, I have not listened to any more of the Scorpio Races. Not because I'm not enjoying it or anything, but I just haven't been in a situation to listen to audiobooks, / when I was running the past couple of days, I have chosen to watch TV shows instead of listening to a book. But I'm definitely going to get back to it. I'm still enjoying it. I also was reading The Bone Witch, which I haven't touched in a few days either, probably not since the last time I checked in, because I'm not really enjoying that. Every time I go to pick it up, I'm like, oh, I really don't want to read this right now. So I've been kind of putting it off. I think I am going to pick it up one more time this weekend, give it another go. I think I'm still only like 20% in, so try to give it maybe another 10%, and if it's really not sinking to me at about 30% and I don't feel like it's going anywhere, then I'll probably DNF it. Although I will say that it is better than my experience with The Daughter of the Pirate King. So because I haven't really been feeling like reading The Bone Witch, what I have picked up instead is one of my new library books. I just have really been wanting to know what happens to the main characters of The Demon King after that book. So I picked up the sequel, which is called The Exiled Queen, end of last week, and I was trying not to pick it up yet, but a couple days ago I just couldn't resist and I started reading it. I'm about 60 pages in, which is about 10%, and it's off to a really good start, which is not surprising because I loved The Demon King, and I'm really excited to read the second installment in the series. I love the characters, I love the writing, I love the world, and yeah, that's going really good. Well, I think that's all the updates that I have. I think I succeeded in keeping this clip pretty short. Am I reading anything else? That's it. That's all I'm reading. So yeah, I will check in with you guys once the weekend is over and let you know what progress I made and what I thought of that progress. So I'll check in with you later. Bye! Hey bookworms! So it is Monday evening. It's almost 8 p.m. I worked from home this morning, so I didn't have my commute to do my typical Monday morning wrap-up like I usually do, so I'm doing it now. I had kind of a busy weekend. I don't typically do like anything on the weekends. I usually take it pretty easy on the weekends, but this Saturday, like 2 days ago Saturday, I actually went to Barnes & Noble for a book signing, and I got to meet Victoria Schwab. It was actually my second time to meet her, which there's a vlog of that. I will be sure to link that somewhere. And this was for her tour and release of A Conjuring of Light. It's the third and final book in the Shades of Magic series, which the first one is A Darker Shade of Magic. If you guys haven't read that series, you need to read it. Especially, I mean, if you like fantasy. It's an awesome fantasy series. I love the world, I love the magic building, I love the characters. It's great. I have not read A Conjuring of Light yet. I'm going to read it very soon. I want to review A Gathering of Shadows, which is book 2. I just got that out from the library on audiobook, so I will be starting that soon because I finished the audiobook I was listening to, and that was The Scorpio Races. I finished it yesterday because I had to run for 70 minutes. I thought I was gonna die, guys. Like, it's like the hardest thing I've ever done, which I know is probably an exaggeration, but in the moment, it felt like the hardest thing I've ever done. I wanted to quit like every 2 minutes. It was so hard, but I did it, and I don't know what I'm gonna do because every week, my like long run gets longer by another 10 minutes, and so like next week I have to run for an hour and 20 minutes, and I don't know how I'm gonna do it. Anyways, I got a little off track. During that hour and 10 minutes yesterday that I was running, I was listening to the rest of the Scorpio Races, and it was actually kind of funny because at that part of the book, at the very end of the book, is when the horse race is happening, and I was like running while the horses were running, and it was kind of fun just like, I don't know, it was really easy to get lost in the book because they were talking about horses running a race and I was like running. That was kind of a funny coincidence. So what did I think of the Scorpio Races? I really enjoyed it. I like Maggie Stiefvater's writing for the most part. It is a little more like on the contemporary and a little more lyrical side than, or like maybe not lyrical, but her writing's definitely very like atmospheric in all of her books really that I've read. So even though it's not like the typical writing style I gravitate towards, I tend to enjoy her books. I've read the Wolves of Mercy Falls series. I had some issues with it, but for the most part I really enjoyed it, and I've read the first 2 books in the Raven cycle, and I do plan to continue that. Anyways, despite her writing style not being like what I typically like, I still like her books. I think the Scorpio Races is like my favorite so far of all the books of hers that I've read. I really like the 2 main characters. They were both just so well developed and had like their own distinct personalities, and like this island that they live on and the community that they have there. Just everything felt so realistic, except for I guess the water horses that like kill people. Obviously that was like magical, but other than that, everything else just seemed so realistic. I really enjoyed the setting. I will say that if you're someone who's sensitive to like animals dying, you should probably be careful about reading this book because there are some horses that die. There are also horses that kill people, so it does go both ways. I'd say that the book is pretty bloody or gory. There's a lot of blood involved and people getting hurt, horses getting hurt, that kind of stuff. But I'm not super queasy, and while I don't enjoy reading animal cruelty, that's like not really what this was at all. And I have to say that the audiobook was fantastic. It might be part of the reason why I loved it so much. I did start out reading this physically and I didn't love it right away, and I don't know if me switching to the audiobook had a lot to do with me starting to love it or if it was just like a natural progression as I got further into the book. Probably a little bit of both, but the narrators are great. There's a male narrator and a female narrator. They were so good with accents. I can't do accents and I can't even like think them in my head, and for these guys I didn't have to because the narrators did such a great job with the accent. And they even there's a character who's American, and every time he would talk, like, it was so different because they would use like an American accent, and like I wouldn't even notice that I was listening to an Irish accent until the American guy talked, and then I'd be like, oh yeah, they have an accent. I mean, they just did a really great job of voicing the characters down to like their accents. If you enjoy audiobooks, or if you tried reading this physically and had any trouble getting into it, I definitely suggest the audiobook. I think that it's a really good one. That's basically all the thoughts that I have on the Scorpio Races. I really enjoyed it. A solid 4-star book. Probably 4.5. 4 to 4.5, I don't know. But definitely 4 stars on Goodreads. I really enjoyed it. So the last time we talked, the other thing that I was reading was The Bone Witch. And I'm sad to say that I have officially decided to DNF The Bone Witch. I was so excited when I first started reading it because the whole premise was just like so intriguing, and I did enjoy the writing style at first, but I talked a little bit in my last clip about some of the issues that I was having, and it just got worse, basically. I just wasn't interested anymore. The story was so slow, nothing was happening, there was a lot of info dumping, and then like character interactions started to not make sense. Like I didn't know why people were being so weird and why they were acting the way they were, and I just wasn't connecting with the character. Nothing was working. So I read till about 26%. I was trying to push to 30% because I don't know why. I like to at least give 30% to books, but I couldn't do it. So I've officially DNF'd that. My first 2 arcs of the year did not go well, so that's great. I'm hoping that some of the ones that are coming out later this year that I've been approved for, I like better. I don't know why I even bother with arc, but it just doesn't usually pan out for me. Like, I usually don't like it. But, I mean, there are times where I do like the arcs that I read. Like, I did read a few arcs last year that I really enjoyed, so I guess that's why I do it, is like to find those diamonds in the rough or whatever. So hopefully I have more of those, but yeah, these first 2 were kind of duds. I'm like a little over 100 pages in. The Exiled Queen by Cinda Chima. I love it. I just love the characters. I love the world. I mean, everything's just going really well. I don't have a whole lot to say about that. So that is everything that I read this week. I hope you guys had a really good reading week, and until next time, bookworms, keep reading. Bye! The third and final book in... Hello, doggy. For books, I've read the Sinner's trilogy, or that's not the name of the trilogy at all. That's like the 4th book that's a companion to the trilogy, which is called the Wolves of Mercy Falls series. Bye!